especially intrigue the audience. So perhaps you can tell us a bit about that.
I mean, it's all pretty standard at the start. Nigel opted for the Marshall Gambit, which I certainly was not expecting. I thought he might play it, but and then at this point, yeah, you didn't play Knight takes D5, and I've looked at this line with E4 before. However, that was probably 2-3 years ago. So at this point, well, I have to take on C6, and then E takes F3 is all very normal, but I remember D4 being the main line, and then there's something with FG2.
You just slow down for 1 second. We'll get there in one moment. Nigel, first of all, your sort of thinking, your rationale here. What were you hoping for?
This is the sort of recklessness that happens when you've got half out of 4. Because actually, I can't say I had this thoroughly prepared at all. Although I had been looking at it. So, under normal circumstances, I wouldn't have played this, but, there comes a point when you're suffering in a tournament, and you're suffering big time, and you do things which are a little bit irresponsible.
So it's desperate times, desperate measures. So
and this is, I think it's one of the, it's called the Steiner variation. It's one of the better offbeat variations, but it's perhaps objectively dubious. I mean, there are various moves here. Knight G5 is possible, but that's not a very good move. So Hikaru played the regular stuff, and actually this is a critical position.
So, I just want to ask Hikaru, what were your thoughts on seeing this variation of the board?
I certainly wasn't happy. Normally when you go into a game, you at least have some idea of what your opponent's going to play. And I had a feeling Nigel would play something a little bit crazy, but I completely overlooked this whole variation with E4. So I was a little bit worried at this point, but
you played G3 quite quickly, so you weren't completely rattled because you had a
I spent a lot of time when I took on C6. Right. That's sort of when I was considering the options, and I knew D4 was the main line, but then I sort of thought about G3, and after a couple of minutes, I sort of began to wonder what was wrong with it.
Let me make a couple of moves. I mean, this is a fairly obvious move. Queen takes F3. It's been played by Bobby Fischer. Can't be too bad. And there's a sort of a forking of the ways here. There's Bishop D6 is one move, Rook E8 is another move, and it's quite complicated. And Black has a very interesting play. So that's one thing. I mean, supposedly the sort of book recommendation is this one, strangely enough. Maybe there'll be another book recommendation after this. And, this scores quite well. I think this is actually one of the reasons why the line has gone out of fashion. I think it's not 100% clear. Actually, I have some ideas here. So, I didn't just play it entirely with my fingers. So, slightly reckless, but, I mean, obviously I had to have something in the main line.
Okay.
So we'll come back. The funny thing was I saw a game with G3 the other day, actually, just in the Open tournament.
Right. It pays to walk around sometimes.
And I thought, what the hell is that? Should have checked it. It's not mentioned in Lalich's book on the Marshall, by the way. He has a whole chapter on the Steiner variation. He doesn't mention this move at all.
For what it's worth, I saw we were desperately trying to find sources on this line because no one really knew what was going on. We all had a vague memory of D4 being the main line. But we went to the bookstall and found Secrets of Modern Chess Openings or something like that by John Watson. And he mentions D4 as the main line. He mentions Queen F3 being unclear. And then he just says 11 G3 interesting, full stop.
Yeah.
And actually he says everything's to play for, but that was the only moment we thought, maybe that's the way to do it.
Brilliant.
So,
Yeah.
So it might be that this is the new reputation. Let's have a look at what they could have improved.
Because I don't know. I mean, I would have to check. I'm sure it's been played before, not only on board 92 in the Open tournament between some players with 1800 ratings. I'll have to check it because okay, Rookie 8 was.
I think these moves are forced. Rookie 8, D4, Bishop G4.
Yeah, because now Queen takes F3 is very risky because
Bishop C5.
Bishop C5, I think is it's good. It looks very dangerous. I'll just make a couple of moves because there's a back rank problem that stops Rook E3, and it looks rather dangerous. So D4 is what one expects, and I don't know. Maybe I can play Bishop D6 as well.
I thought on Bishop D6 I just go Bishop G5 anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is a slight improvement. I was just curious. I mean, we're just making this up. Bishop G5. If I take and play Bishop G4 now. Oh, sorry. What am I doing? Getting excited here.
Right. But now I thought just 92.
92 H6, and then you H4 Queen E4, and that's a little bit tricky.
Hikaru, you're basically snuffing him out on the black squares and just gradually rounding up F3. That's your strategy.
That's the whole plan.
Yeah. And it's not obvious you can do that much about it, Nigel, other than what you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I should do. I mean, either there's something there or there isn't something there. And,
I mean, there was only one point where I thought maybe Nigel had something, which is, I mean, still around this time after Bishop G4.
Okay, Bishop G4 is reasonable. Yeah, Bishop G5 and.
Right, and I think H6 is the only move, because Queen D6 is the only other alternative that I saw here, and I think after Queen D6, just H3. And
H3 was a bit of a pain. Yeah, that was. Yeah, that's it. Actually, my queen is misplaced. I have some other moves here. This is another move, but that's not very good. I think. What are you doing there?
I think just knight D2 here.
Knight D2. Let me go here.
And Rook E5.
Okay.
And Rook E5 is probably completely winning.
No,
there was some reason why I didn't do it. I mean, I just thought it wasn't working, basically.
Okay, so
Malcolm Payne plays this stupid variation, by the way. That's where
he was the only one who knew what it was.
He's the only person in the entire world who plays this variation. I did it in his honor. That was it. I'm hoping to get invited back next year. So that's. I decided. Nobody plays it.
So this doesn't look, I guess, like a
No. There was H6. It looks like a sort of tempo loss, but I developed my pieces actually because I have to move my bishop anyway in order to get going. Actually, I thought I was doing okay, but Hikaru played some very nice moves at some point. I thought, here.
Right.
Just to clarify, Rook E2 wasn't giving anything for black here.
Well, it's the only line that
maybe
I thought was possible.
I think at this point, maybe I could do this. I don't know.
But I think on Rook E2, I just take and go Queen E1.
Okay, and then we need a good move, which may or may not be there, I guess.
Yeah. Queen E7. Oh, sorry. Takes
Queen E1 and
Queen E7.
Right, and I thought just here Bishop D5.
Maybe Queen E8, Nigel, is also possible?
Yes.
Queen yeah, but on queen e8 I go bishop d5 anyway, and you
Okay.
don't have rook e8 at the end.